Hi, I'm John, and I'm going to tell you why it's not the year of the Linux desktop. It's not. It never is. It never will be the year of the Linux desktop. It's been the year for many years of Linux on all sorts of other devices. No doubt about that. It's very dominant in a lot of different ways and for a lot of different reasons. But the desktop, the average user, it's not dominant at all. It's 4%. It's 3.8, something like that, 4% of desktop users use Linux. Is it ever going to get any higher than that? I highly doubt it. It could maybe, if it ever gets to 10%, I'll be totally shocked. And I think the only way it gets to be something like 10% is that there's an application that works on Linux that is so cool and so neat, and it doesn't port to any other operating system. But nobody does that because all software companies that make application software are going for Windows and Mac because that's where the money is. They're not going to go for Linux. That's number one, the strike against them. You're not going to have development on Linux ahead of those other things. Even though it's great software, it's better than Windows. I believe it's better than Mac as well. It's just the way it's going to be. And think about it this way too. Let's talk about soda. Let's talk about Coke and Pepsi. What is the third largest selling soda in America or in the world? There's Coke and Pepsi. I don't know what it is. Do you? You probably don't. Maybe you know, maybe some guy who knows soda and sells it or something, or is a rep for Coke or Pepsi knows who number three is. But the average person who doesn't care doesn't know. And that's the way it is. There's usually only room for two competing ideas in the mind of a person. You know, you are Republican, Democrat, or what? We don't know. You're a Coke, Pepsi, or what type of soda person? We don't know. That's the problem. Linux is always going to be a distant third. Doesn't matter if it's better. It clearly is better. If you went by the metrics of it and everything like that, if you went by how it functions on the desktop, there's no doubt in my mind that it is the best operating system. And it makes your computer run better. It's more private. Go down the list. It just works better. And it's constantly, the updates are easier, everything. Go down the list. I'm totally convinced that as a former Windows user who is very frustrated, Linux is the best. I use Linux Mint right now. I also use Kubuntu on occasion. Both of them, I like them both very much. But I'm never going back to Windows. And Windows is one of those things where you'd like to believe that they're not tracking you and pushing ads at you and everything. But if you go through the setup, you can see that that's exactly what they're all about. I did a virtual box, a virtual, PC virtual box on my Linux system, and I put Windows on there because there was a certain application that only Windows could run, and it wasn't that I couldn't do it on Linux. It was a matter of some tweak, and it had to do with business, so I had to check it out. Anyway, long story, but the bottom line is I did it in VirtualBox, and I had to go through the whole setup with Windows 10, and you had all the things where you had to opt out of all the privacy things. They were all by default saying, we're going to take your data. We're going to take a look at this. You got to opt out of all of that. And then it kept saying, almost there, almost done, almost this and that. And that was a real problem. And eventually I just let it go. And it didn't solve the problem. I tried the piece of software and it definitely didn't solve the problem. But I couldn't believe that, just the setup of it. It's so different than Linux, even in the setup. You can tell with Linux, It's not going to, it's not saying, I need your permission for this. I mean, when you use Linux, you own the software. It is yours. It doesn't belong to anybody else. It's not leased to you or anything. The only thing that one article writer mentioned that might help widespread adoption of Linux, and when I say widespread, that it might go up to something like 10%, is if Microsoft goes to an all cloud-based computing system and there is no desktop that you download and put on your machine. Basically, it's a node, something like that. If they do something like that, yeah, a lot of people won't like that. Will it decrease their numbers greatly? I don't know. I would say probably not. People get used to something, and once they have a problem solved, they don't want to, go into something else. People by nature aren't very inquisitive. We should be more inquisitive. We should be asking questions, and we should especially be asking questions about something that is in our homes, in our businesses, and looking over our shoulder. Now, in Linux, it's not looking over your shoulder. Windows does. Mac does. So, is it going to be the year of the Linux desktop? Of course not. And it never really will be. The best thing that can be done is to tell other people about it if you are a Linux user. And, you have no monetary gain from it. And that's the other problem. I mean, there's no monetary gain for me to tell you that this is a better operating system. I mean, why I do it, I don't know. I just think it's so great and it's so much better that I can't believe people would use anything else. I'm a total evangelist for the Linux desktop. I think it's the best thing you could do for your computing, and you would find better results and less frustration, and on and on and on. Anyway, will it be that year? No, it never really will be. It'll have to be some special application. It'll have to be something else that these other operating systems can't do. That's the only way it's going to make a jump, and it's going to have to be an application that people absolutely want. Otherwise, there's no motivation. So, as much as I think it's great, I also know that you have to be realistic and know that it's just not going to happen. Anyway, you have a great day, and if you're a Linux user, tell somebody else about it. I know I do, and then you'll feel better that you're trying to help somebody understand that there's a better world out there as far as software goes. Sure is. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.